I always say when I'm trying to describe this kind of thing to people that when there is property titled in the name of a dead person, that's a problem. And we can solve it in a variety of ways. As Jessica, you just mentioned, probate is one. It's the least desirable of those ways. Sometimes there's a workaround, and it is typically because the amount in question is very small. So maybe the court doesn't really need to get involved in it. And so that's why we colloquially call this particular thing a small estate affidavit. It is only for personal property. And when I say personal property, I'm speaking as a lawyer, which in fact I am, meaning not real estate. Like anything else, a small estate affidavit could be used. This does not include real estate, what we're talking about right now. So it is a document that the person who is entitled to this asset that's currently titled in the name of a dead person, the person who now is entitled to own it, they sign this document and they are saying, I'm entitled to own this property. Give it to me, basically. That's the affidavit.
Yes. And it sounds like it is a much simpler, quicker, cheaper process than probate. What scenario can this be used in?
Okay. So we have to either not have a probate happening, like we have to be able to say there is no probate and there's no need for a probate because the total of the assets owned by this dead person is less than the probate threshold. And those of you who listen all the time, you know what that number is. You could probably shout it out, $184,500. The total of all the assets owned by this dead person has to be less than that number. That's not on a per asset basis. We also have to wait 40 days from date of death. We can't just run in the next day and go forward and get those accounts. So the affidavit actually says it's been more than 40 days. And the person who's signing it is the person entitled to have that asset. And I think, Jessica, you're going to talk a little bit about what that could even look like. Who might that person be or persons?
Yes. So the person signing this document is the successor of the dead person. And what that means is it is the person who either by that person's will or through the laws of intestacy is entitled to receive that property. So if the decedent had a will, it might name a person or many persons who will receive that property. If it's a pour over will, which is a will that says everything is pouring over to my revocable living trust, then the trustee of that trust would then be the successor and be the person who is signing this document. If the decedent didn't have a will at all, then California has laws laid out that say who would be the person or multiple people that would be receiving the property. If it's more than one, all of them have to sign.
Okay, so the will could say, I leave everything I own equally to my 3 children. This particular asset that we're trying to get through the process, maybe it's a bank account. Nowhere in the will did it say, I leave my bank account to my daughter, Jessica. It's, I leave everything to my 3 children. So that means all 3 children have to come and sign the affidavit. And then they're going to get a check. It's a bank account somehow. And they got to figure out how to split that money. They got to sort that out. But anyway, it's important to remember it's the person entitled to the assets, which could be the trustee of the trust. It's not necessarily going to be the children or the surviving spouse or whatever. It's also important to remember that this affidavit is signed under penalty of perjury, so you don't want to be using it when it doesn't really apply.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.